Welcome back. Today, we are diving deep into the execution phase of the information systems audit. While we will touch on the mechanics of gathering evidence, our primary lens today is quality assurance. We want to understand how to execute an audit that not only meets standards but continuously improves. Let's get started. Let's establish our baseline. Audit execution is where the rubber meets the road. It follows the planning phase and precedes reporting. As an auditor, your goal here is to gather specific data and documents to evaluate whether controls are working as intended. This isn't just about collecting files, it's about evaluating the design and operating effectiveness of controls to form a solid opinion. You must manage this phase like a project, keeping an eye on timelines and resources. Without rigorous execution, your findings lack the evidence required to stand up to scrutiny. Here we see the workflow. We start with the audit program derived from planning. We move into the core execution tasks, gathering data and evaluating controls. Note that documenting results happens simultaneously. If it isn't documented, it didn't happen. Finally, we validate findings before moving to the reporting phase. Execution relies on testing. We typically use two types. Compliance testing checks if a control process, like an approval workflow, is actually being followed. Substantive testing looks at the data itself to ensure transaction accuracy. Crucially, not all evidence is equal. Evidence you collect directly or obtain from a third party is far more reliable than what the auditee tells you in an interview. We use techniques ranging from simple observation to sophisticated CAATs to gather this proof. This map breaks down the evidence ecosystem. On the right, we have our testing types: compliance and substantive. On the left, reliability is key. Always strive for the highest reliability, such as independent third-party confirmations. In the middle, we see our toolkit, from interviews to reperformance, which is one of the strongest methods. Now let's pivot to our main focus: quality assurance. Just doing the audit isn't enough. We must ensure we are doing it right. QA ensures that our work adheres to standards like ISACA's ITAF and the Code of Professional Ethics. It provides stakeholders with confidence that our conclusions are sound. It's important to distinguish QA from quality control. QA is about the entire process setup, while QC is checking the specific output for defects. This flow illustrates QA's role. It sits in the middle of execution, not just at the end. It involves constant monitoring and supervision during the audit. It ensures that the standards and ethics we start with are actually applied during execution, resulting in a defensible final report. The first line of defense in audit QA is supervision. ISACA Standard S6 explicitly mandates that audit staff must be supervised. This isn't just micromanagement. It's about ensuring that the evidence gathered actually supports the conclusions reached. The supervisor reviews work papers to ensure logic and accuracy. Crucially, this supervision itself must be documented. If a manager reviewed a work paper, that review must be recorded. Here is the supervisory loop. The auditor submits work, but the supervisor doesn't just accept it. They review it against standards like S6. They provide feedback. The auditor remediates gaps, and only then does the supervisor sign off. This iterative cycle is the heartbeat of audit quality. You cannot ensure quality if the auditor lacks the skills to do the job. Standard S4 mandates professional competence. In complex IT environments, we use a skills matrix to match auditors to tasks. Don't send a generalist to audit complex cryptography. Furthermore, QA requires continuous education. Technology evolves, and so must we. Periodic peer reviews, where other professionals critique our audit process, act as a final check on our competence framework. This diagram shows the relationship between the auditor and the assignment. The QA check exists to verify that the auditor's properties, skills, CPE, ethics, match the assignment's complexity. If there is a mismatch, the QA process identifies the gap for remediation, such as additional training. How do we know if the audit function is healthy? We measure it. Quality assurance involves monitoring key performance indicators, KPIs. We look at efficiency metrics like report timeliness. How long does it take to get findings to management? We also look at effectiveness. Are our findings actually being closed? Finally, we measure stakeholder satisfaction. Did the auditee feel the process was professional and added value? This chart visualizes a balanced scorecard for audit KPIs. While timeliness and utilization matter, the biggest slice is remediation remediation rate. An audit that finds issues but doesn't lead to fixes has low value. Satisfaction and compliance also play critical roles in the overall quality picture. To improve the audit process, many organizations are shifting to agile auditing. Instead of a year-long rigid plan, we use short sprints. This allows us to identify risks faster and provide immediate feedback to the business. It's a massive quality improvement because it makes the audit relevant to current risks, not just the risks from 6 months ago. This adaptability is a key driver in modernizing audit quality assurance. Here we see the agile audit cycle. We plan a sprint, execute fieldwork, and immediately review feedback. Note the loop. Feedback leads to process adjustment. We improve the audit process during the audit, not just at the end. This cycle repeats, driving continuous value. We finish by closing the quality loop. Before the final report, we conduct an exit interview to validate facts and prevent errors. After the audit, we formally solicit feedback. Did we add value? We conduct a lessons learned session to refine our own methodologies. Finally, we perform follow-up. If the risks aren't mitigated, the audit cycle isn't complete. This ensures the audit process continuously evolves and improves. Our journey ends here. We validate with the client in the exit interview. We gather feedback via surveys. Then, crucially, we use that data to update methodology, improving our own process, and return for follow-up testing to ensure the organization is secure. This completes the cycle of quality assurance.